Welcome back everyone to episode 5 of our Play by Email series on Advanced Tactics Gold. So this will be the episode where we declare war. In fact, let's just get it all started right from the get-go. Fatherland, I'm going to message you. I didn't know you could do that, it's interesting. No, Fatherland, we want to declare war. So this is going to cost me 20 political points. Now if you remember from the very beginning, I said that I was giving the Fatherland an extra 20 political points so that he could declare war on me. I'm not going to sweat it. So we're now at war. What this should immediately mean is, without any further action, I will take over this oil. Now, before I start moving units around, let's just take a look at what's going on. I can even look at the history from last turn to see what kind of things he's done. Mainly, it's just moving troops to the front. So we talked about whether or not I could declare war on him because I don't want things to be so saturated with armor. I feel like armor is the end-all be-all, and even though we have pretty good terrain, I love the terrain in this map. It offers like a really good tactical decisions between defending here and here, or here and here. I mean, using the pocket. All things which I considered because, of course, I'm going to be moving through the middle, and he didn't decide to defend on the front, which I really expected that he would. Now, it's actually kind of smart. So we see that this is originally not my territory. We know that because of the action point penalty for entering this hex. So now that things have already moved. Basically, we were on the border, and now the border has been pushed. You can see he's actually even pushed his border beyond the stream in the south, which means that this is more than just a scouting unit. I'm not going to worry about that, though. I'm a little surprised that they were able to push the border, considering I have a small force here, which should have kept zone of control of that. I'm not surprised it happened here, but I am very surprised that it happened here. But that's okay. We'll just let it go. There's nothing strategically important here. If I wanted to defend the stream, I'd already be there. We're just going to hold back, and we have a very, I think, a reasonable defensive force already back here. At least it would do some good holding action. So the main thing is going to be my thrust into the middle. I was considering just rushing in, but I've decided, you know what, that's not a good idea. I don't know anything about his force composition. We obviously have a lot to learn by exploring forward. So our jeeps, the good news about them being wheeled is I'm going to be able to move 20 at a cost of only 20 or 25 in the fields and plains. This is plains, so I can move at the cost of only 20 here. I can also use the road to move at a cost of only 10. Now, it's going to be 30 because of the additional action point penalty, but there's no enemy zone of control on this hex, so it should only cost me 30 to move in there total. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, our moving cost is 30. Fantastic. Okay, good. So it looks like he's chosen to defend on a line, I imagine, like this. We can tell that now that I've captured this, there's still a zone of control, so it'll cost another 20 to move in there. Now remember, I want my Jeep to be able to get out of here. I don't want him exposed. He's a very weak unit overall. But we do want enough scouting information before we move back. Now if I move, it's going to be 20 to move out of here, so if I move here 30, he can move back, I think, 1 hex. Or maybe our front lines will push up to meet him. But let's see if he can get any further scouting information. No. I just think this is probably the lack of his ability to see. I actually doubt that there's a real hole in the army here. It looks like they've made a pretty solid line. Okay, so let's go ahead and think about what to do here. I want... It appears that this hill is actually open, vacant for us. It could be a good opportunity to take this, although this is a very defendable area. Maybe we want to just go around it and not actually attack into it. On the other hand, it looks like they have armor down here. Maybe I should just try to attack the armor. Is my armor in a place where it could attack their armor? Probably not. No, that's a big no. This one's not even ready for combat anyways, missing a light tank. How did that happen? Alright, well let's connect our road at least. So now we have a nice loop around this area, which is perfectly okay. Just going to allow my force to move forward. Okay. Let's see. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to try to cross this river here. There's something to be said about doing that. Maybe just really trying to push across. If we get a toehold on the other side, it's really big. Because then we can build a bridge. I mean, that would be a really ad hoc plan. I hadn't thought of doing that before. It'd be very impromptu. But maybe it's still a good idea. A lot of decisions to make. I didn't put enough forces up here I wasn't expecting that to be an option, but could we even attack? No. So we'd need to wait there one more turn, and certainly by that point they're going to reinforce. Nobody has the ability to attack across this river. Now, mind you, rivers do cause a 50% penalty for even infantry. So we'd have to have a pretty good number to be able to take over. And this is a machine gun defense unit, so it's pretty powerful. Alright, so how do we want to work this? I guess we'll stick to the original plan, which is not to worry about this river right now. Let's just push our forces forward here. Okay, infantry, machine gun. Do I move the artillery forward? That's a good question. I don't know quite yet. Let's just stick with the infantry for now, because we know that they're able to move forward, free of charge, basically. And machine gun. So in order to defend that flank, we obviously need to move this unit forward. Infantry. Infantry. It looks like I have more infantry here. That's fine. That's good. I mean, I prefer the stack to be 3 or 4 divisions. We might as well occupy this oil. Or should we just leave the line here? This would be kind of an interesting thing. Now, I guess since I'm already giving away, I'm exposing my hand that I want to attack through the middle. Maybe it is better to just push all the way up to them and start locking them. That'll prevent a little bit of their ability to reinforce because my zone of control will start being exerting on them. And supposedly I should have a higher concentration of forces, but he might have done the exact same thing, just already been expecting the attack through the middle, and he might have all his forces here. It's really hard to tell without better reconnaissance, which is what this guy's for. Now, good thing is he can move back very safely into a hex which is defended, and that's quite good. I don't see any artillery from him yet. That is another interesting thing. So we have 2 artillery which are already in position to bombard here. Does that mean maybe we can try to even attack? I don't have any assault forces prepared, unfortunately. No, the only thing we could actually do as far as attacking, because of enemy zone territory, we're moving into enemy territory and enemy zone control. This is going to prevent everything except for me occupying the hills here. And I think that's not a terrible idea, to be honest. Yeah, lots of decisions we can make here. We need the assault forces to the front to begin the mortar bombardment. Now, again, mortars also do poorly against hills and all those things. So we want our mortars to be mainly in the plains. We're going to shift them over that way. We're just going to use normal infantry or maybe machine gun infantry to attack into the hills itself. And I think we'll just use plain infantry. I prefer that because I don't mind taking infantry rifleman losses in the hills, but machine guns, although they are better at attacking than normal infantry, they're a higher value, harder to replace. So be a little careful about that. Alright, so let's see here. We could even bombard this group, which is probably 2 infantry divisions. We don't have enough to really overwhelm that, especially because they're already in the mountains. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Let's push into the mountain here. Let's take over this little area. If nothing else, we can start surrounding this raw. So we'll move in with all 3 of our guys. This gives us a lot of scouting information. It looks like they have 1 artillery back here and a tank in reserve. Okay. It's a pretty good reserve force, but their road isn't connected, so this armor is going to have a really hard time moving. It cannot move into the high mountains, and it has a really hard time moving into the raw. So we don't expect any kind of counterattack can come through here. The only way this unit could counterattack is moving north and then here, perhaps. So we have to be careful about being counterattacked into this hex, and probably any of these other hexes, since we see armor, armor. If we see the pattern is here the same for both of these, we assume it's copy-paste for that one as well. I don't remember where I put my armor. Okay, it's right here. Yeah, but it's all outside of range. Now, what I think I'm going to do is leave my actual light armor in reserve. Let's compare real fast. I just need to do a comparison versus armored car. I mean, they're so good against armored cars. They're just going to decimate me. And the armor cars should be used against infantry, not against other armor. Okay. Well, I don't think my armor cars are in range to attack anyways. They are only into the mountains, which would be the worst decision, of course. Actually, there's no... I didn't realize this. There's actually no armor protecting this raw. I may, in fact, actually attack with my armored cars. Now, these guys have an attack stack of 30, I think. If I'm not mistaken, these guys have stack points of 5. Yeah. So this is actually 2 stacks of 30. I could do this. I could actually attack here. Except for I can't, because this will cost 50 to move here, and it'll cost 60 to move into that. So the only thing I'll be able to attack with, if I choose to attack, is 2 armored cars. Well, what we can do is bombard this hex with both of our artillery. And maybe even more if we want. It will cost 35, so we can get 6 more rounds of bombardment from another artillery. We could just try to do that and see how that works out for us. Now we're low, these troops are low, they don't have their full rifleman contingent. And I see we have the 2 light tanks, which are going to bring these standard light tank divisions to full. So that can happen this turn, but these units will be a little bit low on readiness, so I want to hold them in reserve for at least one more turn. Okay, I think we'll do this. Our first combat of the entire war will be armored cars launching themselves into the raw material, the raw mountains. It's risky, but I think it's a good idea. I didn't realize it would even be possible, so it's interesting that it's even an option. In order to do that, I think we're going to want to move our artillery here so that we can bombard from a distance. And in order to do that, we're going to want some kind of defense there. So maybe if we move down like this, we will kind of put a hole in our lines, which we can fill with maybe these armored units. How are these guys doing? They're also short on units. And he does have the horses, so this guy can move forward. Even though this means the horses will have lower readiness, this unit in general will still move better. Yeah, his readiness is really low, he's not going to be very effective, but even 1 round of bombardment is better than 0. So we'll just hopefully be able to take advantage of a small amount of bombardment from that guy. It's very interesting. The reason why I'm having a lot of pause, that this is a very delayed movement phase, is I don't want to be counterattacked. Maybe this is what he's waiting for, is for me to move forward here, and he's going to expose a huge amount of armor that'll counterpunch me. The one thing that I know is he has slightly greater light armor than I do. So his light armor divisions should be greater than my number of light armor divisions. That was at the cost of me actually producing these armored car divisions, which was just because, political points, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out that I wasn't able to use the extra, he didn't use the extra 20 political points to declare a war on me. I ended up spending those as well, so it was all for naught in the end, but okay, I think we'll just do this. This guard unit should definitely stay in reserve, so it should not be the unit which defends. I think we really need to do to push up with this unit as well to support. So we'll do that. I think I won't move up this assault. Actually, yeah, I think I won't move up this assault here though. I'll move this assault in with the armor which protects my artillery. So all of this like this, and we'll bombard here. So the first bombardment is going to come from these two guys, which is still actually only 8 of my 10 attack stack. We do get a 50% penalty, of course, because we're attacking into the mountains. And here we go. That looked pretty good. Okay, so overall we believe we've lowered their readiness by about 50%. We've also lowered their entrenchment a lot, which is very important. Damage done to the location, raw is probably not a problem at this point, so that's not an issue for me. It's just completely irrelevant to my attack. Now, we will continue to follow. Ooh, we could be bombarding these guys though, which are out in the open. I think if we can entrench armor into this raw, we're in really good shape. So, is 2 armored cars enough to dislodge this unit though? That really has only taken like maybe 5 or 6 casualties. It's really hard to say. But I think we kind of committed ourselves, and these armored car divisions, this is what they're for infantry. So let's just go ahead and do it. Let's do one more artillery bombardment. This should only be 6 rounds. Okay, that was 5 rounds. I miscounted. So, yeah, okay, they're still in pretty good shape. And basically we only killed another 2. Yeah, so their expected amount is still around 70. Yeah, it's a really tough call whether to attack them or not. We'll move up as if we are going to, and I'll see if I can get anybody else to support the attack. So right now it would be... I don't terribly like our odds. Now, armor cars come with pretty good reconnaissance themselves. 10 points each compared to 1 point each is your typical recon. So this is a pretty good... This has 50 recon by itself, so it's almost like another recon group. So we should have pretty good reconnaissance of this group. It looks like we've only eliminated a few of their machine guns. 1 maybe? And most of them were... Whoops, that's not it. Most of them are from this rifle group. If their readiness is down to 50 though, machine guns should not defend very well against armor. I still think we're going to have to go for it. Let me fish to see if any other armor can support in this attack, because this is really only an attack stack of 60 total. We can really fit in 1 more if it's at all possible. But I don't think that anybody has the requirement to move in there. Which would be for infantry moving into... Let me just take this guy as a test case. 60... It's going to be 60. They need 60. That's impossible, basically. It's 40 plus 20. So 60. I don't think anybody's going to have the amount of movement to get there then. Yeah. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Well, let's just go for it. Okay, we ran out of AP. Let's see what actually happened in this attack. So we lost about 12 of our own rifles. They supposedly lost about 30 units total. So I would consider this a successful attack, even though, you know, we didn't actually take over the hex. What that probably means is they're going to reinforce this hex nicely. So that's the bad news. The good news is, well, we did more damage than we took ourselves. So that's the upside. I think we have kind of committed ourselves here. We're going to move forward 1 more. I think we have to, because we have to protect the armored car flank now. We'll move the assault group in as well, because that's really where they belong eventually, is around these hexes over here. Now, I think we'll move this artillery south, which will give them 6 rounds of bombardment, and we'll use it against these guys, which will hopefully prevent a counterattack. That's the idea here, so let's prevent a counterattack now. Yeah, it's and plus this is defense in depth, which probably is necessary in multiplayer. You don't want to break out. You don't want their armor punching through strongly. So I'm going to be using defense in depth, which we see that he's using as well. His artillery is positioned behind his front lines. This is really smart. And then he has at least 1 unit defending with that artillery, which means if this front line was to get pushed back, they'd already be moving back into a defensive position. It's really good. So this is going to be an interesting war. Alright, well let's go ahead and do the bombardment here. Casualties is what I'm hoping for. We killed 4 of them. That might hopefully dampen their ability. Okay, so the readiness on the standard light tanks is the most important thing. And we didn't kill any standard light tanks, so that's what we would have preferred, is to eliminate the standard light tank's ability to do damage to us. And we did not do that. But that's fine. So let's see. Do we have any more artillery? Does this headquarters have any artillery with it? No, it doesn't. I think we'll move the headquarters forward 1 hex. Seems to make sense. And any groups that are not fully supplied, which is everyone in this hex, has to move up with them. Okay, this is another reserve unit. We'll just move him up. I mean, basically this is supposed to be for defending if I was pushed back to the urban and forest area, but that's not going to happen, so they'll probably trail along until we get into the urban areas over there, or the forest hexes on the west. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I think we may have over-defended in the south, in fact. They don't seem like they're doing anything over here. So maybe we'll even push another unit. Oh, I guess we'll just leave everything exactly where it is. This will prevent any kind of defensive action over there. And we're almost saturated on the hexes here, so that's not really a problem right now. Okay. And this guy has 37 rifles. Is that what he needs to reinforce? Maybe. He might need more, so I'll have to do the transfers. I'll do the transfers off camera, just because it's not as interesting. So, but I want to reinforce these units, get them all ready so they can fight the next turn. Alright, so how do we defend this hex? I think, because we have taken a few casualties, quite a few, and they can't move back, we might as well throw in maybe another armored car of defense, or maybe even light armor. Yeah, I think we move in light armor there. We're already kind of committed, you know, so let's see, who is available? I want a light armor group which is already fully formed. And the funny thing is, I swear I had some that were completely formed, but now I can't find any. It's like they were just deleted from my game. I had light armor in the front. Well, we're going to have to do it this way. This is not how I prefer to do it, but we're going to do it this way. Just manually transfer 1 tank in. This will give us 1 light tank with slightly less readiness than I would want. And that brings our attack stack to about 100, so that's good. I like that. And this is a very well-defended hex in terms of not the amount of defense it has in terms of machine guns, but just because it's armored. We have 8 armored cars and 4 light tanks. It's very good defense. I think that unless he brings a very significant amount of armor to bear on it, it should be well defended. Now, if he does, what I need to do is have armor ready to counterattack. So we need this guy to get on the road. Let's move him down here for a second. Now we want to transfer a light tank over to him. This should be a little readiness, but it was done technically. The light tank moved himself. Now the 85, we want this to just be a reserve unit, so let's just move him into here. Good. And it's blue with yellow, so we know clearly it's not intended to stay with this hex. It's just temporary. I'm not sure if we want to push any further forward to the west. We kind of... It seems like our focus is going to be on this, unfortunately, the very well-defended area. I'll have to rethink that off camera, really. Man, this is exciting, though. It does seem like we can push forward and just defend with our armored cars. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. It means he'll have to heavily commit to an armored assault, and if he doesn't heavily commit to an armored assault, then I should be able to... Let's get this guy to just transfer his tank directly in there. I should be able to counterattack. So I'll do this. We also know that we're safe if we go into the marsh, but let's check... Are we supplied? Yes, but this would be 24, and how much is it to actually jump? Okay, it's just 35 to jump into the swamp. That's not bad. So we'll be well in supply, because we can supply these two hexes. And this looks like a pretty weak area. It doesn't look like he's extremely well defended over here. So I probably will push this. So let's move this machine gun over to... actually... Can these guys move one more? Yeah. So let's do something like this. And now let's just move this artillery here and this one, and let's get this machine gun to defend them. Just in case they decide to be risky and cross the stream, we have a machine gun defending. We could even shift these forces over. Since we don't see anything coming from this side. Yeah, might as well. It'll give us a little more scouting information as well. Okay, good. So, that's fine. We should have plenty of advance notice before they get close to this hill, and we can retake it. Okay. The question I had originally was, should I hold the line there, or if I advance here, should I move this one forward? I think what we're going to do is just step back. And now we want to bring the armored cars forward to defend. So let's get the 7th over here. One idea is to build a road and actually cross this river. Yeah, I've already mentioned that though. It'd probably be better for me to build a road into the swamp here, which means I can get tanks crossing the stream. It's a weak point, this area right here. They don't have any units right here, so yeah, it's clearly a weak point. I can't get across there on this turn, but it's something to keep an eye on for next turn. So, to that point, I think we have to move our engineers forward to here. That puts them in the line of fire, but I don't think that this is like a very indented hex. They'd only be able to attack 1-to-1, so we don't expect that they'll attack there. And for the same reason, we can probably put the artillery in there. No, that's not close enough to the front, though. So let's move the artillery here, and just get off 4 rounds of bombardment against this hex that we've already kind of targeted. Okay, so, you know, we killed a few units, really didn't do much. Hopefully we're just discouraging them from counterattacking, that's the idea. Alright. So this has an armor. Let's move the armor cars here and here. Get this guy to move forward to the assault area. How much are they affected by the river? Just as much as, yeah, just as much as normal infantry, so that's not bad. So we'll move this guy over here. He'll be participating in that kind of attack. I don't think this guy can even get into position to bombard anywhere. No, he can't. So we'll leave him as a reserve force. We might as well move him all the way over here. I did get these two over here. They can both bombard this guy. I can't do any attacking quite yet, but we can definitely, you know, greatly injure this unit. In fact, these are claimed to be different, but they're probably not. Yeah, let's just do the original plan. Bombard this guy. If he's still the defending unit there next turn, I mean, that's really low readiness. So we have a great chance of pushing back there. Yeah, so we'll get our engineer. He's in good position to build a road, maybe build one more road. assuming this hex isn't bombarded, and there's no way they can bombard that hex. They'd have to move artillery all the way over here. That seems impossible. Then we can build road, and cross. Okay. So let's see what else we have going on. Just a lot of reserve units, but these all need to be reinforced. I think that's basically the end of this turn, and it's already been 30 minutes, but you can see how tedious this is, just because there's so many interesting decisions. There's so many divergent points. Oh, and with someone moving over here, we actually got scouting information that they are occupying the forest crossroad here. Not surprising, but we also see that they have this exact same defense force for all three of these hexes. It does seem like it was a good idea for us to try to push onto this raw. And I'm also glad that we eliminated some of the readiness of this unit, although we didn't do anything to the light tank. And we have a few more artillery. Can this guy get any further? No, because we're moving into the enemy territory, of course. Alright. So we left a bunch of guards behind, that's not surprising. They're just reserves anyway, until we get to the forest. Move this guy forward as well. Might as well move this guard forward. Well, we'll leave him here because he is technically, we have these guards which are, I mean, they're kind of defending from the north. And here's my other tank. There they are. Let's move him here. Transfer the other tank in. And get him to move that one last hex forward. Great. So he'll be, we'll be able to use him next turn. Alright. Well, let's connect Kyiv. And then get that engineer starting to move back. Huh. I don't think there's anything else we need to do this turn. Basically, we're leaving our lines in pretty good shape. I don't think there's any place where we're extremely vulnerable to a counterattack. The possible exception being, no, here. I mean, this is the only hex I think they'll push back on. They could push back here, but it's unlikely. In fact, if we have the ability, it wouldn't even be a bad idea for me to cross the stream here with my machine gunner, just to hold this hex to prevent flanking of this guy. So I think we'll do that. Yeah, we can even move in with 2 units. Okay, that's acceptable. So we'll move over here. I mean, they're still getting supplied perfectly. We'll push this machine gun up. That's good. So we're protecting ourselves very well. Sure, there's this hole in our lines, but we don't see any units over here, so it's unlikely to be an issue. We have this artillery, which is just useless. Okay, we can move here, though, and we can bombard this unit. I mean, it's really nothing, but we might as well just squeeze the most out of our artillery, right? So, 2 rounds, we did almost nothing. That's what we expected. Okay, that's fine. And this artillery can very quickly move back south if we find that there's any kind of action coming at us from the south. Now, the north, I would say, is pretty ill-defended, but we do have scouting information, and not only that, but we've pushed our borders. Whenever this engineer gets back, I'll probably build a road north, like right here, which will further supply the forest in the north, so I can push this guard one more thing north. The reason for doing that is just to expand our territory, which slows down any kind of attack. Any offensive that goes through here will have to go through my territory more. But we have already good scouting information and we don't see anything, so I'm not suspicious. Plus, we already talked about this. They need a road and they don't have one. So, really good. I think that that's all we are going to do for this turn. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll look over, first of all, what our opponent is doing, and we'll look at the history to see what kind of what kind of damage has been done to the front. I won't exactly end the episode here. I'll do some of the unit transfers and start getting the units ready for the next turn, but that we'll just do off camera since it's not very interesting. Well, thanks for watching this episode, and I hope you're as excited as I am now that the war has begun. Stay tuned for more episodes. These will be coming out a lot faster than they were before. Well, until then, take care.